It was one of those mornings where the sky looked like it had been painted in grayscale. The clouds hung low over the city, thick with the weight of unshed rain, and the streets glistened faintly with last night's drizzle. Autumn had fully arrived, the air sharp with a crisp edge, and leaves clung stubbornly to the sidewalks, golden red beneath hurried footsteps. Liam Carter had his hoodie up, earbuds in, hands shoved deep into his jacket pockets as he made his way down Lexington Avenue to the little coffee shop tucked between a laundromat and a vintage bookstore. Perks and Beans wasn't fancy. That's what he liked about it. It had creaky wooden floors, chipped mugs, and music that didn't try too hard. It was real. He pushed the door open, a small bell tinkling overhead, and the warmth inside wrapped around him like a comforting sweater. He gave a small nod to the familiar barista, Maria, who already started prepping his usual, a medium caramel latte with oat milk. Liam wasn't a man of extravagance, but the one thing he spoiled himself with was that coffee. It was his morning ritual, one of the few things he did entirely for himself. He worked hard, long hours at the auto shop, and didn't have much to show for it beyond scraped knuckles, sore shoulders, and the quiet pride of fixing things with his hands. As he stepped up to the counter, he became aware of someone behind him. A woman. She had entered so quietly he hadn't even heard the door open. She wore a faded gray hoodie with the hood up, strands of deep chestnut hair escaping around her face. She carried a backpack that sagged heavily from one strap and looked like it had been dragged across cities. Her shoes were worn, soles peeling slightly, but her posture wasn't hunched or defeated. It was cautious, like someone used to hiding in plain sight. He caught a glimpse of her face in the reflection of the pastry case. She was pretty, but not in the way magazines defined it. Her beauty was subtle, hidden under layers of exhaustion and restraint. But her eyes, those eyes, stopped him. A mossy green that looked both ancient and shattered. Like she'd seen the world end a few times and still got up the next day. Maria asked Liam if he wanted a muffin today, and he shook his head, trying not to look obvious as he glanced back again. The woman had her hands in her bag now, searching. She stepped forward, murmured her order, a small black coffee, and then paused as her fingers fumbled with something. Coins. Receipts. Her face didn't show embarrassment. Only that practiced blankness that people wore when they were used to pretending they weren't struggling. He didn't think. He stepped in. Add hers to mine, he said, offering Maria a soft smile. The woman looked up sharply. Her eyes met his. Close up. They were even more striking. Haunted. You don't have to, she said, her voice low, rich but hesitant, like someone trying to remember how to speak. I know, he replied. But I want to. She hesitated. The smallest flicker of pride, or was it shame, passed over her features. Then she nodded once. Thank you. The coffee was poured. Maria smiled, always warm, and handed over both drinks. Liam paid, left a tip, and stepped to the side. He expected the woman to vanish immediately, but she lingered at the counter for a second, then turned and sat at a small table near the window. Alone. He picked a table across the room, within sight, but not so close as to invade her space. He didn't want anything from her. That wasn't his way, but something about her kept tugging at his attention. She sipped her coffee slowly, as if it was the first warm thing she'd had in days. She didn't scroll through a phone, didn't stare outside. Just sat there, holding the cup with both hands, eyes distant. Like she was somewhere else. Sometime else. Liam watched the rain start up again, soft at first, then steadier, like the city was exhaling. He thought about work, about the car in Bay 3 that needed a new alternator, about the argument he'd overheard yesterday between his boss and a customer. But his thoughts kept circling back to her. He risked another glance. She was staring right at him. He froze. She stood. He tried to look casual, but she was already walking toward him, coffee still in hand. I just wanted to say thank you, she said when she reached his table. Her tone was firmer now, like she'd found a bit of herself again. You already did, he said. I know. But, people don't usually notice. Or care. Liam shrugged. Guess I'm not people. That got the smallest smile from her. The tiniest curve of lips, gone as soon as it came. I'm Ava, she said. Liam. She glanced at the seat across from him. Mind if I sit? Not at all. She slid into the chair, took another sip, and looked down at the table. Her fingers were long, nails short, unpainted. Not bitten, though. Just, practical. Rough morning, he asked gently. She let out a breath. Rough life. He didn't push. Just nodded. They sat in silence for a while. The kind of silence that's not awkward, just, present. Like both had too many words, but none of them knew how to come out yet. Eventually, she stood. I should go. Will you be okay? She hesitated again, then looked him in the eyes. I will be. And she walked out. The door closed behind her with a soft jingle. He watched her go down the street, hood back up, blending into the crowd like a ghost. He didn't know what made him do it. Maybe it was the name. Maybe it was the feeling. But later that evening, after work, he sat on his couch, opened his laptop, and typed her name into the search bar. Ava Monroe. The screen filled with results. And his breath caught in his throat. Images of her, clean-cut, glowing, confident, popped up in news articles, business magazines, and gossip sites. She was younger in most of them, dressed in tailored suits, hair slicked back, lips red, smile tight but powerful. Headlines screamed, "Youngest self-made female CEO takes Wall Street by storm." Tragedy strikes, Monroe's fiancé dies in mysterious explosion. Ava Monroe resigns following corporate sabotage scandal. The billionaire who vanished, where is Ava Monroe now? He clicked on one. The story detailed her rise, how she'd built Monroe Global from scratch, starting in her college dorm room. How she'd fought her way into boardrooms dominated by men twice her age. How she never blinked, never backed down. And then came the fall. A scandal involving corporate espionage. The death of her fiancé, David Lane, a fellow tech giant, in an explosion on their private yacht. A media circus. Rumors. Accusations. Lawsuits. And finally, silence. She had disappeared 2 years ago. No one had seen her since. Until now. Liam stared at the image on the screen and compared it to the woman in the hoodie, the one who had counted coins, who had whispered thank you, who drank black coffee like it was all she had left. He ran a hand down his face. What kind of pain drives someone from penthouses to paper cups? But even now, even after knowing who she was, Liam didn't think of her differently. Because he hadn't helped her because she was someone. He helped her because she wasn't. And deep down, he felt that he wasn't done seeing Ava Monroe. Not by a long shot. The wind was colder now, the kind that slipped through even the thickest coat and made your bones feel ancient. The city had begun its slow descent into winter, with storefronts lining up Christmas displays too early and people walking faster, shoulders hunched against the air. Liam had always loved this time of year. Not for the festivities or the lights, but for the way it made the world feel slower, more reflective, like everyone was remembering something they couldn't quite explain. He found himself looking forward to his daily coffee stop more than usual, not for the drink, but for the possibility that she might be there. Ava had become something of a constant in his life now, the one unexpected rhythm in his otherwise steady routine. That morning, she was already there when he walked in, sitting at their usual table near the window with 2 drinks in front of her. She looked different again, less like a runaway, more like a woman rejoining the world on her own terms. Her hair was brushed back into a low ponytail, and she wore a thick, olive green coat with buttons shaped like leaves. Her boots were polished. Her eyes were still tired, but alert. She was reading something on a tablet, tapping the screen occasionally, her mouth moving just a little, as if rehearsing lines silently to herself. When she looked up and saw him, her face softened. Not quite a smile, but something warmer than anything he'd seen from her before. He approached slowly, surprised to see her already waiting for him. She slid one of the drinks toward the empty seat across from her. "Latte," she said, "with oat milk." "I guessed right." He chuckled, taking the seat. "Nailed it." They clinked paper cups like glasses, and for a moment, neither of them said anything. "I wanted to say thank you again," she said after a while. "I know I already did. But I'm not sure you really understand what you did for me." Liam leaned back, watching her. "I didn't do much. You drank the coffee. That was all you." "It wasn't the coffee," she said. "It was being seen. It was someone treating me like I wasn't broken beyond repair. You didn't know who I was. You just saw me." He looked at her carefully. "I still don't know who you are." "Not really." That made her pause. She looked away for a moment, then back at him. Maybe that's the point. They spent the next hour talking like old friends. Ava told him stories from her childhood, ones not stained by trauma. How she'd once built a science project in middle school using only scraps from her dad's garage and beat out all the rich kids with fancy kits.